everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform, or you can go straight to my website at thereligioushippie.com. I currently have Archimedes with me. Say hi, Archimedes. He's a little camera shy. A lot of the times he comes in here while I'm filming, and then while I'm filming, he wants out, which he is doing right now. But that's not my problem. You're stuck here for a while, bud. Sorry. I hope you all are doing well. What is this video again? Make sure you guys are staying hydrated. Oh yeah, it's about the TLM, which isn't out of the ordinary for me because you guys know I love the traditional Latin Mass and I have done an extensive amount of videos on the TLM. But I want to talk specifically today about how the TLM is making a comeback, and I think it's really important to cover. So let's just get into it. Oh, I left my mouse all the way over there. Guess I'll let Archimedes out while I'm at it. I think my lip is bleeding, but I don't really know. Okay, the traditional Latin Mass, before we get into this video, because I will always have a Susan from the parish council in my comments saying, you like the traditional Latin Mass, so you must hate the Novus Ordo. That is not true, Susan, or Chad from the parish council. In fact, I sometimes go to a Novus Ordo in English or in Latin. I do not hate the Novus Ordo, and there are some really great reverent Novus Ordos out there. Granted, they are a little bit harder to find, but they do exist. So hush, I am not bashing the Novus Ordo, just shh. Let me do my video. Let me have fun, guys. Let me have fun. All right, we're going to kick this off right away with a survey. A survey from 2019 to 2020 found that 98% of Catholics aged 18 to 39 who prefer the traditional Latin Mass attend Mass weekly. I mean, that's huge. That's compared to the 25% of young Catholics in general who go to Mass weekly. And even more eye-opening, might I add, 45% of these young adults either returned to the church or entered it for the first time, and 80% have considered a priestly or religious vocation. I am telling you, something is stirring here. With a little survey out of the way, I want to talk to you about society. I want you to think about what's going on in society today. What do we see in the world? We see secularism, occultism, relativism, all this noise telling us that what's fleeting is what matters. But deep down, we feel that tug for something more, something deeper. We're looking for meaning in a world that feels empty. And the TLM offers that meaning. It offers that deepness that we're looking for. 62% of Catholics in a survey said that traditional practices like the traditional Latin Mass bring them a deeper sense of meaning. Have you ever noticed how the traditional Latin Mass feels if you've ever gone to one? There is a huge contrast between the reverence at the TLM and the more casual tone you can sometimes find in a Novus Ordo Mass. And no, I am not, once again, hating on the Novus Ordo. I've been to some incredibly reverent Novus Ordos, including the Latin Novus Ordo, and there are plenty of beautiful ones out there, but let's be real, the stereotypical guitar mass or casual vibe you often see, people don't think of the TLM when you mention those things. There's a reason why there's a stereotype, unfortunately. The Latin Mass calls us to awe. It calls us to reverence. It calls us to contemplating something beyond ourselves. And it's not just a community hangout or a coffee break or whatever. It's a solemn offering of sacrifice. And when you walk into a traditional Latin Mass, you immediately sense that, from the incense to the Gregorian chant and the silence, if it's a low Mass. But all of it creates a space where you experience the Mass, body and soul. You don't just go to Mass, you enter into it. And while this can happen at the Novus Ordo, of course, if it's done properly, many people say that they struggle to connect with the Mass at the Novus Ordo because there is too much emphasis on the people as opposed to God. Again, not all Novus Ordos. Don't come at me. I'm just saying what I've heard. But I also want to say that the traditional Latin Mass is not just the liturgy. I mean, it is a countercultural thing. It is a direct response to the secular, consumer-driven world we live in, and with all of the distractions of materialism, relativism, as I mentioned earlier, and all that surface-level stuff, the traditional Latin Mass is a radical, beautiful alternative. It doesn't offer us a quick fix or a trendy lifestyle. It offers us something real, something true, lasting, and authentic, and that's exactly why young people are flocking to it. If you guys have made it this far into the video, comment holy. Okay, so let's dive into the traditional Latin Mass just a little bit more. I know I've done some videos about it, which I will link below for you guys in the description if you guys want to look at those, because again, they are extensive. Anyways, yes, the traditional Latin Mass is in Latin, but you don't need to know Latin in order to go to the traditional Latin Mass. You don't need to know anything. Just go, experience it, and let the entire experience wash over you. In a 2023 survey, 70% of those who attended the traditional Latin Mass said they felt a stronger connection to God. And I mean, if you've been to one, you get it. The focus is completely on God. It's like everything in the Mass is pointed towards Him, and that is exactly how it should feel. The beauty and the reverence of it pulls you right into the heart of all of it. I mean, the traditional Latin Mass isn't just about what we do on Sundays, it's also about deeper wisdom and truth that comes from our rich Catholic history. Think of St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine. This intellectual tradition, it helps us tackle big issues like secularism, moral confusion, or honestly, whatever else the world throws our way these days, because it's something new every day, let's be honest. And this tradition is alive in the traditional Latin Mass. I have heard so many homilies that have truly helped me go out and be a disciple for Christ. I mean, we have touched on topics like abortion, transgenderism, and a bunch of other really hard-hitting topics, but in such a loving way. It's not fire and brimstone, because whenever we hear those topics, we think, oh, we're being chastised or whatever. No, they do it in such a loving and beautiful way that it really does inspire me to go out and preach these things also in a loving way. So this is a shorter video than I intended, but what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is the TLM is making a comeback, as if it ever didn't have a comeback. Like, it's been popular for a while, but I feel like since 2020 and the whole situation with COVID, it really has made a huge comeback. And it's not going anywhere despite the suppression that it's been faced with. And no, that is not a dig at Pope Francis or any of the cardinals. It's just the truth. I mean, it has gone through suppression before, but it's always come back. And as Catholics, we do need to be obedient. God rewards obediency. So again, not a bash or a burn at any of our church leaders. We need to pray for them. But I just noticed that these days, young Catholics and Catholics of all ages, honestly, like not even young Catholics, just Catholics of all ages are searching for intimacy, something deeper, something more meaningful and reverent, and they're finding that at the traditional Latin Mass. So I encourage you to go to TLM Finder and to find a traditional Latin Mass near you if you have not gone already. Trust me, it's worth it to try it. And I know some people, it's just not their thing, and I respect that. I'm not here trying to force it down your throat or force you to become a TLMer or anything like that. I am simply trying to share the joy and the reverence that I have experienced from the traditional Latin Mass with you guys. And with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!